time to fuel your business success. Welcome to Harmonious at Lunch. We're bringing you bite-sized advice and expert conversations to drive clarity and growth 5 days a week. Make sure you join our Facebook group at humanop.com/lunch, where listeners like you and our guests hang out so we can find harmony in business together. If you're building a business, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Today's episode, we're talking about how your setup, that's right, everything going on back here, if you're watching, is more important than your message. I also feel completely naked and so self-conscious with this episode. So you're going to have fun at my expense, I'm quite sure. Junaid Ahmed, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Brandon, thank you so much for inviting me to be the guest on this show. Super excited to talk about what this vague sort of title really means, especially if you're just listening to the episode. I would recommend go check out the YouTube version that Brandon's put together as well.
Or maybe don't. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. And I also want to take back the thank you for being here. I'll let you know at the end if I want to thank you for being here. We'll see. But no, listen, I'm here to have fun. I'm here to help the audience. That's what this show is all about. So if we can learn what not to do from me, that to me is as powerful as learning what to do. So I'm all for it. So let's dive in here. We're talking about how everything happening around you, or everything happening for the viewer in this case, for their eyeballs, is more impactful or equally as impactful as the message being delivered. So where do we set the stage with this topic? Because there's so many little things to unpack. But anchor me in why this is even important.
You know, we're in 2025. Video has been named as the number one connector for people. Like, we are spending 1 billion hours watching TV or YouTube on our televisions, meaning we're consuming content on YouTube, on our television, in our living rooms, in our family rooms, where have you, which means that video is gaining so much more popularity. Podcasting alone are getting so much more traffic from YouTube because for this exact same reason. People love to consume video. And the higher quality the video is, the more beautiful the set is, guess what? You're going to stay longer to consume that content. Even if you didn't like the message at first, you're going to be intrigued by the quality of the video or the image that you see. You know, they say an image speaks 1,000 words. Well, how many words is the setup or the video that you're showcasing saying? So that's where I like to start, is as much as we want to say everybody judges a book by the cover. And I totally agree, or I totally understand where you're coming from, that you don't want to thank me for being here. But Brandon, I started where you were at. I was even further away from where you started. I mean, I still don't have a logo up that says, Hacks and Hobbies or whatever company that I'm running. But it is to say that we love growth as human beings, as people who are growing and experiencing growth on a day-to-day basis. We love growth. The entire industry has pivoted in the last 3 years from the introduction of OpenAI. Every single person is now talking about AI, agents, you name it, right? The automation, all of that stuff, which is really powerful for behind the scenes. But as somebody who's a face of a company, as somebody who's a face of your brand, is somebody that want to be taken seriously, I think this is the least thing that we could do. Yes, I am wearing a suit jacket in my home office in the basement, but it's setting the precedence of who you want to be, where you want to be, and who do you want to be associated with. Does that get us a good start there, Brandon?
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that you probably don't think about, that if you're not producing content on a regular basis, you don't even think about what's behind you, right? And so kind of explaining that it's more than just, what's going on behind you or what is or isn't. It's how people are perceiving you and perceiving that message. I personally, I think I'm allergic to suit jackets. I have to get
Mm-hmm.
tested again. I'll see if I can maybe take some medication for that, and do something with the wardrobe. I love a good t-shirt.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, but seriously, I mean, why don't you go through the rundown that you gave me before we started recording for the audience sake? Again, we're learning at my expense here today.
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning in. And if you're not listening, yeah, definitely go check out the video version of this podcast over on YouTube. And for funsies, maybe scroll to the bottom and look at my original setup because you'll laugh. I have grown a little bit, so that's always
Mm-hmm.
good. But Junaid, walk me through where are you while looking at me, listening to me now? Where would you rank all these different pieces?
I love it, Brendan. Thank you so much for being open to the criticism, or critic. It's constructive criticism. So the first thing that I look at is the framing of how are we framed. A lot of the times when we're looking at Zoom calls, everybody's face is like the target, right? You're right in the middle, about the same space above you, same space below you, and it looks kind of weird because there's nothing above me that I can see. Like it's blank space, which is taking what's that word? Creative real estate, important real estate of the video that's being produced or delivered. So framing is the number one thing. Once you got the framing down, and this is something that anybody can adjust right away. Brandon did it right before we, in the green room. He was like, "Hey, let me just fix that." Other things, lighting. So you'll notice that I'm wearing glasses. Brandon's also wearing glasses. But the key difference is that we've got these two reflections that are coming on the screen. Well, guess what, Brandon? I did not always used to wear glasses. I started wearing glasses about a year ago, and I had the same issue. I had these white reflections in my uh, video. So let me show you real quick what I did. So I'm using a Mac. In it, you can change, what your system appearance looks like. So if I were to switch it back to light, you'll see
Hmm.
all the reflection because
Interesting.
we're sitting in front of a monitor that is essentially a light source. So as soon as I switch to dark mode, boom, no more reflections. Number two, where you place the lighting also affects if you're going to see what I'm seeing. So if I lift my head up,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see the reflection of the lights that are above me. I can also switch the camera view to show you where the lights are positioned and how they're pointing down at me. So, number two, getting the lighting right, addressing for reflection if you wear glasses, whatnot, what have you. Now, the most important thing is audio, right? So, what I've done is I've got a dynamic microphone, which is about a fist away from my face so that you can hear the complete um, dynamic range of my voice. So when you see me in person, you'll hear the exact same voice when you're in person. A couple years ago, I was at a meeting at Podcast Movement. It was a dinner, and this gentleman, Kevin Schmidlin, he leans over, he looks over, he's like, "Is that you, Junaid?" And I was over here talking to some other pieces, faced the other direction. I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Dude, I recognize you by your voice." Because we've been in Zoom meetings for past few weeks, and he recognized me from my voice. I'm like, "Oh, Junaid's here too," because because I paid attention to how my audio is being captured on the microphone, it's then showing up to other people, and they can then uh, recognize you in person. So we did framing, lighting, microphone. The third thing or the fourth thing that's around audio as well is to use headphones. So you'll notice that I'm wearing earphones. And what this does is that I'm not going to get any reflection sound coming from the speakers going back into the microphone. Right? So this is called echo cancellation. Software can do only as good job as they can try. But as I am speaking on this episode, I can actually hear back my audio through Brandon's uh, microphone. So again, related through audio. Now, we talked about lighting, we talked about audio, we talked about camera quality. So when you dial in the right lighting setup in your space, and what I like to do is I like to do this demo because it kind of showcases what all things you need. So I'm going to turn off my lights, and all you see is just my studio light, my temporary light that I leave on. And this just kind of gives you an idea that, I'm starting with a blank slate. And then I'd start adding lights one at a time. So I've got my key light that's basically highlighting me. I got a fill light, which is then fills in additional space. And then I'm adding something called a hair light. You'll see my shoulders are kind of dark right now, but as soon as I add that hair light, it's going to light up that space as well. So all this is to say, the more professional you show up, the more authority you're automatically commanding when you show up on camera like this.
Yeah, this is fascinating. I'm never again recording a video podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. Yes, you are.
I am. Hey, if you listen to tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch, there will be some changes. I don't know how much I can make because I'm literally recording it in 15 minutes after this one, but I will do something based on this feedback. And then, yeah, I think this stuff is absolutely fascinating. Now, tell me about the complexity or simplicity of making these changes. I mean, you shared with me again before we started recording the microphone, right? And microphones could be anywhere from free because they're built into your laptop.
Yeah.
Don't recommend. That's not what we're saying here. All the way up to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And that's the same thing with lights, with camera, across the board. You can go crazy with your studio setup. If someone wants to make an impact, if they really want to put effort into their studio, what should we focus on first, or what's the priority order? And then sort of what are the costs associated with those things? Because that is important.
100%, Brandon. The number one thing that I would recommend is your audio. Because without audio, you don't know what the other person is saying, right? So if you got the audio microphone dialed in just right, yes, just a microphone built into your laptop is not going to do the job. It's, and the reason why they don't do a good job is because of the range that they have to capture. They're designed for fast communication, but they're not capturing the full depth of your voice. So getting a better microphone, which is, again, we're using the same bandwidth as a cheap microphone on your laptop would do compared to this one. The only difference is high quality in, high quality out on the other side. So number one thing, microphone, and you can spend anywhere from $50 to $500 for a good set of microphone and headset, right? You want to make sure that you hear the other person properly. So microphone headset is the number one investment that I would recommend. The next step is lighting. A lot of us struggle on getting the right light set up. So getting a good set of lights that are positioned in the correct way is going to help you show up really sharply, even if you're using a webcam. Boom. So, and that could cost anywhere from, again, $150 to maybe $1,000. Again, it all comes down to how far do you want to take it? How much control do you have in your room? Maybe you just want some of these large flat panels, which is anywhere from 15 to 18 inches. They're really thin. They kind of look like LCD screens, but they are actually lights for your setup. And they output enough wattage or enough lumens so that you show up cleanly. Because camera lenses, no matter how big or how small, or camera sensors, how big or small, the more lighting you have, the better they can reproduce the image that they see. And then
I love
lastly,
it. Yeah, I was going to say, what about the camera?
Yeah, for the camera, we have a ton of options, right? So we've got the webcams that are built into our computers. You can, pick up the Logitech 4K cameras starting at $200, or you can get the obvious bot cameras, the Insta360s. All of these cameras has about the same size of lenses and sensors, but they do a really good job because they've been updated over the years. They're getting better and better. So better that I don't know if you know, the latest movie, F1, the movie that just came out, they were using iPhone cameras on those
Did they
200
really?
miles per hour running cars to capture
Wow.
the footage from that car. You cannot tell the difference if they're using a 4K camera or not, because these are 4K cameras. So they are getting so much better. In fact, a lot of people have been using the smartphones as their webcam as well, just as a stopgap to get started. And then you go up to getting a little more expensive, a little more higher price, something like a DSLR or a mirrorless. Now these things, because they have such a large sensor, capture a lot of depth and a lot of information, which again, that's gets compressed and then goes over the internet, and you can see the quality on the other side. So again, you can go anywhere from $200 to $2,500. The sky's the limit. But it all comes down to, what's your purpose? What are you actually doing with these videos? Are they going to build your credibility? Are you using them to create content for your courses? Or are you just doing meetings? And what are these meetings for, right? That's the other thing. Are these just company meetings, or are they sales calls? Because sales calls are also meetings. And the more level of confidence and expertise you show, the more the other person is percepting, okay, this guy knows something. That's why he's spent some time setting up the setup that you see there.
Yeah, I think, especially in a sales context or partnership or important meetings where things are being decided, if it's with your internal team, I'd say, this is just me personally, I'd give you like a half of a pass, right? Like, you can get away with a lesser setup, but if it's anything external, you're trying to do a partnership, a merger, a sales meeting, all those subtle cues, they add up, and that could be, you don't know, that could be what pushes somebody over the edge to say yes. It could make an absolutely huge difference in your company. And who knows, it could pay for itself in one meeting, right? So you really don't know, but I would put a lot of effort into making sure you're being perceived in the way that you want to be perceived, or the way that you expect to be perceived.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is sort of the core of this conversation here today. So Junaid, I really appreciate you doing this, and I do appreciate you being here. Thank you. Even though it was at my expense, I personally learned a lot. And like I said, I will make some of these changes immediately, and then I'll phase other things in as we go. So the only way to find out if I do it is to subscribe, for those of you listening, if this is your first time. But tell me, where should somebody go if they want to learn more and learn from you on how to upgrade their setup?
Thank you, Brandon, for the kind words. And again, welcoming me here to the show. Head on over to homestudiomastery.com/5-day. It's my 5-day challenge where I walk you through day by day about your room, analyzing your room, setting up your lighting, setting up your audio, setting up your studio design, and then focusing on what camera to bring into the setup.
I love it. I know I personally will go check that out. I am moving in the next, I guess I measure things in episodes here, in the next 20 to 25 episodes. So once I get settled there, I'm definitely going to go through this and upgrade the setup. It's going to be a different room. There won't be a door behind me, which is also awesome. So we'll see what magic we can make. Junaid, thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Have a good one.
If you're watching and listening, that link is down below in the show notes. Hopefully you're watching at this point. This is definitely one of those episodes where it's a must watch. So you get the full effect, you get all of the pointers and see the demonstrations. So if you're listening, go check it out. Even just skim through it, you can see the difference. And then go check out homestudiomastery.com/5-day. And we'll see you back on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch.
Another episode of Harmonious at Lunch in the books. I hope this episode made you think and you grabbed some actionable ideas to propel your business. Don't forget to like, comment your takeaways, and subscribe wherever you're listening so we can help more entrepreneurs just like you achieve harmony in their life and business. For cutting-edge tools that bring clarity to your people and processes, check out humanoff.com to download our app today. See you next time.